Let's learn how to play Hit the Lights by Metallica on guitar. Hit the Light starts with two power chords, an open E power chord and a power chord off of the second fret of the low string, F sharp. And the track fades in and we hear the open E power chord being tremolo strummed. Okay, and then they get out of that by hitting it 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. And we hold that out for a bit. And then we switch to our F sharp power chord and tremolo strum that. And bring that out for a bit. And then the cue to start the main riff is a pick slide. Okay, so just put your pick on the bottom couple of strings, perpendicular to it, and just slide on down to the headstock. Now we get into our main riff, and that's going to play 6 times with a couple of variations. So our main riff that we really want to learn is going to look like this. Okay, that's the one that plays throughout the verses as well. So learn that one, and then we just have a couple of variations here. But let's go through that. So we've got the open A and the 5th fret on the D string. Let's ring those 2 strings together. And then we're going to go 6 palm mutes on our open A. 1 and a 2 B and up. Now bar the 5th fret on the D and the G, the 7th on the D and the G, and hit that twice. The open D and G, hit that twice, and then bar that 5th again on the D and the G. So there's our first measure. 1. Okay, and that's right on beat 1 where we're going to palm mute 6 more open A's. And then at the end we have this. So pull off from 7 to 5 on the D string, down to the 7th fret on the A string, back up to the D string 5, and then 6 and 7 on the A string. Okay, now that's our main riff. Really learn that one inside and out. And now the second time that main riff plays, everything's the same except for the last 2 beats. We do a hammer from 6 to 7 on A and jump up to the G string 7th fret and bend that up a whole step. So that second time it would look like this. Okay, and then the main riff plays exactly the way we learned it the first time. The 4th time it plays, again we have a variation on the end that's going to be a couple of harmonics. Okay, so that second time, or the 4th time. Okay, so that variation at the end, we're going to start that measure with our open in 5 and 6 palm mutes, and then lightly touch that D string right above the fret wire. You don't want to push the string, just lightly touch the string, pluck it, let it ring out, and then you'll want to do another harmonic on the D string as well as a harmonic on the G string. So use a down and then an up down. Okay? And there's that variation. Now live, I've never seen him do that variation. He always just substitutes in the main riff. He just plays that for the last 2 beats. The only variation he does live is that. He puts that in every time, and then he just plays the main riff for the rest of the time. Okay, so that was 4 rotations with a variation on the 2nd and the 4th, and then the 5th and 6th rotations of that main riff are just the exact same as the main riff. So the main riff without any variations. And there's our 6 rotations for the intro, and then we get into the verse and the chorus, and we'll do those 2 sections together because the chorus isn't very hard and it won't take long to talk about. Here we go. Once you've got the main riff figured out, the verse and the chorus is actually really simple. We start off the verse with a D power chord, 5th fret of the A string, and we hit that twice. Come down to a G, 3rd fret of the low string, hit that twice. Back to the first chord D, that another 2 times. And then we go C, B, G. So that's 3, 2 on the A string, 3 on the low string. Okay? Now we play the main riff twice. So I won't go over that again. If you need a refresher on that, just watch the chapter on the intro. Other than that, we just play it 100% the same that we learned in the intro. And then we come back to another round of the D power chord. G, D, C, B, G. Play the main riff just once. Okay, now on the album, we hit an open E and come up to the power chord on the 7th fret of the A string, which is another E power chord. And then we come down, go 3, 2, 3 on the low string, and then the C, B, G, 3, 2 on the A, down to G on the bottom string. Okay? And then we're into our chorus. Now live, they don't go up to this 7th fret power chord. They come down to this E power chord. So if you wanted to duplicate what they were doing live, you'd want to go, right? And you'd want to do that. He always does that, right? And then oftentimes I do see them play these last set of notes as single notes once in a while, but more often than not, they play them as power chords. So you just play the same pattern just with power chords instead. And then into your chorus. So put a nice palm mute on all those too. It sounds nice and heavy. So that the live version would look like this. And then we're into our chorus. And the chorus is actually really quite easy. We just, it's kind of like a very classic rock sort of thing. We're hitting the open A twice. And they do a lot of staccato type playing here where you're going to want to get some really nice clean mutes going on. So when I hit that A power chord, to get it nice and to stop ringing, I drop these fingers and I also drop this hand. Okay? So we hit that A power chord twice. And then we come down to just hit the G, the bottom string, the 3rd fret on the bottom string. And then hit that A power chord. So you'll want to do a quick down up. And then hit another A. And then repeat that G to A twice. So they're in total. Okay, now we have 2 quick power chords at the end there. It's just a C and a G. So 3rd fret power chords off of both the A and the E strings. Right, now there's a little funny timing here too. There's that measure of 7/8 as you've probably noticed in the tab, but I wouldn't worry about coming up with some way of counting that. It's really just a feel thing and it's not too hard to feel. It follows along with the lyrics and yeah, don't worry about counting that out. It's pretty easy just to get the feel of that. So it's a 2-measure thing that we have repeating in the chorus, and that's the 2 measures. Just like that. Now the first and second choruses, we play that 3.5 times. So on the 4th rotation, you'll just play the first measure. And then there's a measure of rest, and then the main riff plays there's a little bit of a lead break, and then into our next verse. So there is the verse and the choruses, and now let's get into the interlude and the rhythm underneath the main solo. coming out of a chorus to get into that interlude. And if you'll remember the first couple of choruses, we played the chorus riff 3.5 times. But the one that goes into the interlude and then into the main solo, you play that main riff 4 times. So you play this 4 times. That you play 4 complete times, and then we get into it by hitting an A power chord, G power chord, 3rd fret of the bottom string, and then into our interlude section. So that's really quite easy. All that we're doing is hitting the open A along with the 7th fret of the D string. We hit that 4 times. Now bar the 5th fret on the D and the G, and then we go back and hit that 0 and 7 4 times, and then the 7th frets on the D and the G, and then repeat that first measure. And then this is actually just going straight down our blues scale. Okay, so we have 7 and 5 on the D string, 7 6 5 on the A string, and 8 on our bottom string. And then we repeat that. We play that 4 times. Now, the only thing to really notice there is the 5th fret bars. You can actually bend that a little bit. I've noticed that Hetfield has started doing that live, really kind of creating a bluesy grind there. And really shake that 7th fret too. You can fret the D with your ring finger and the G string with your pinky and really give it a good shake. I've noticed that he likes to do that too. Okay, and then so we just play that riff 4 times, and then we get into the main solo. And the main solo is really just taking this riff that we just learned and transposing it. So what we're going to do is transpose it to B, where we're going to start with a B power chord. So 7th fret of our bottom string, and the same rhythm that we just learned. So we're going to play that 4 times. Now come up to the 5th fret, D power chord on the A string. Come back to our B. 7th fret power chord on the A string, E. Back to the D. And then we just take that blues scale run that we played in the 5th position, move it up 1 whole step to B. Okay, exact same thing. 9 to 7 on D, 9, 8, 7 on A, and then down to 10 on the bottom string. And then we play that riff a total of 8 times underneath that solo. Play that 8 times, and then we move it down a whole step back to A. We hit our A power chord on the 5th fret 4 times, C on the 3rd fret of A, back to our A chord, D, 5th fret of A, back to C, back to our A blues scale run, which we learned in the interlude section. 7 5 on D, 7 6 5 on A, 8 on E, the low E. Okay, and then we only play that twice. We just have a brief key change there at the end of the solo. We only play that twice. The second time you play it, you also tack 2 more measures of that blues scale run on. So the second time that you play this riff, now back and play it 2 more times, and then go to an open A power chord and tremolo strum it. Let it ring out for a bit, and then 2 more hits. And cut that last one short. They like to. You can slide into those notes. You can also do a little hammer from 5 to 7. Right? And you can do that too when before we do the key change to A. When you're on B, you can do that too. Right? Do that little hammer there. Have a little bit of fun with that. And there's the rhythm for the interlude and the solo section. And that's all the rhythms that we have to worry about, but we have a whole lot of leads. So let's get going with that. Hi everyone, I hope you're really enjoying learning how to play Hit the Lights on guitar. If you love Metallica and want to become a Metallica expert, be sure to hit like and subscribe because I'm doing a tutorial on every single Metallica song from every studio album. Let's get back to this Hit the Lights guitar lesson. A lot of repetition going on in here. We have a nice repeating classic rock blues lick here. What we're doing is we're repeating those 4 notes. We start on the G string, bend 19, and hit the 17th fret on the high E, and then pull off between 20 to 17 on the B string. So 1 E and A, and then we play that 3 times. 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, and then on beat 4 we pull off between 20 to 17 on both the high E and the B strings. Okay, so our first measure sounds like this. Okay, now our next measure starts with a bend on the G string again, up to 17 on the B, and then a pull off between 20 to 17, up to the E string, 20 to 17 pull off, back to the B string, 20 to 17 pull off, come down to the 19th fret on the G string, back up to the 17th fret on the B string, 20 to 17 pull off, come down to the G string, 19 to 17 pull off, down to the D string, 19, back up to the G string, 17. So there's our second measure, sounds like this. And then getting into our third measure, we just have another repeating thing. It's just exactly the same as measure 1, except we're just not going up to the high string, we're just going up to the B string and substituting the 17th fret on the B string instead of that 17th fret on the high string. But the same thing really is the same concept. We bend the 19th fret up on the G string, up to the B string 17, and then pull off 20 to 17. And we have another 3 beats of that. 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A. Bend the 20th fret on the high string for beat 4. Okay, so far those first 3 measures sound like this. And now our last measure is 20 to 17 pull off on the high string, pick that high string twice more on the 17th fret, and then 20 to 17 pull off again. Come down to the B string, 20 to 17 pull off, bend the 19th fret on the G string up, come back up to the B string, 17, and then 20 to 17 pull off, bend the 19th fret on G again, and then release it. Okay, now on the recording, that's slightly overbent. It's more than a whole step bend, but I don't think he meant to do that. But you can bend it a little bit higher than a whole step if you want and release it. So that whole 4 measure solo, it goes like this. The second lead break in Hit the Lights is essentially doing some unison bending. We're going to take the 20th fret of the B string and bend that up a whole step, and then the 17th fret of the high string. Okay, we're going to be alternating between these. So when you're doing this right, you're going to be having the same pitch there, right? It's the 20th fret bent up a whole step is the same pitch as the 17th fret on the high string. Okay, so we start off by bending that 20th fret and then going up to that 17th fret, and we do that 3 times. Now we get our little variation in this lick by coming down to the 19th fret of the G string, bending that back up to the 17th fret on the high string. So we bend that 20th fret 3 times and then come down to the 19th fret and then come back to that 20th fret, and there's our first measure. Now starting measure 2, we're going to hit the 19th fret on the G string, hit that 20th fret 3 more times, back to the 19th fret of the G string, and to the 20th fret again. And that concludes that unison bending part. So all together, nice and slow, it's going to sound like this. And then to finish this off, we get into a little run. Okay, so we start up on the high string, 20 to 17 pull off. Come down to 20 on the B string, back up to the high string. And then 20 to 17 pull off on both those high strings. And now we hit the 17th fret twice more on the B string. Pull off between 20 to 17 again. Come down to the G string, a 19 to 17 pull off. Come down to the 19th fret on the D string, back up to the G string, 17. So there's our first measure of this run, goes like this. Now we finish this off by going 19 to 17 pull off on the G string, 19 to 17 pull off on the D string. Come down to the A string, 19, back up to the D string, 17, pull off between 19 to 17, then 19 on the A string, 17, 15, and then do a little grace note hammer here. So you'll want to hit the 15th fret, but quickly hammer back to the 17th fret. Okay, so all together that whole run. The main solo to Hit the Lights is pretty lengthy. It's probably the longest solo on the album. So due to its length, I'm going to chop it up into 4 measure sections. It seems like every 4 measures is a new phrase, so it works out nicely. So I'll explain 4 measures and then play them nice and slow, and then another 4 and so on until we get through this thing. Okay, so the first 4 measures starts off nice and easy. We're just going to do a repeating little lick. We've already encountered something very similar to this. So we're starting on the 9th fret of the G string, bend that up, and then going up to the B string, 7, and then pull off 10 to 7. Okay, so we just do 2 complete measures of that. Okay, so 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. And then we come up to the high string and we go, we're going to be using the 7th fret as a pedal, and we're going to be kind of using that. Okay, so we're going to go 10 to 7 pull off, and then 9 to 7. Come down to the 9th fret on the B string, back up to 7 on the high string, and then 9 7 pull off, 10 7 pull off, back to 9 7, down to the 9th on the B string, back up to the 7th fret on the high string, and then a 10 to 7 pull off to finish that little pedal point type pull off lick. And then bend the 10th fret on the B string. And then that concludes our phrase, our 4 measure phrase. So all together it's going to sound like this. Our next set of 4 measures, we start with our first finger sliding into the 7th fret of the high string. And we're going to pick that 3 times. And then we're actually going to pick it 1 more time as we get into our phrase. So up pick that 7th fret 1 more time, and then 10 to 7 pull off, down to the B string 10, back up to the high string 7, and then 10 to 7 pull off on the high string and then the B string. And then we want to pick that 7th fret on the B string twice more, and then pull off 10 to 7, then 9 to 7 on the G string, and pick that 7th fret twice more. So that measure. Moving into our next measure, we want to play that 9 to 7 pull off on the G string again. Come down to the D string 9 to 7, A string 9, back up to the D string 7, 9 to 7 pull off, 9 to 7 pull off on the A string, slide down to 5 and pick it 1 more time, and then 7 on the low string. Now staying on the low string, we do a 5 to 7 hammer and up to 5 on the A string. Slide from 7 to 9, then up to the D string, pick the 7th fret twice. 9 to 7 pull off on the D string. Hit that 7th fret 2 more times. 9 on the D string, coming up to G, 7, and then 9 to 7 pull off. Bend the 9th fret 4 times. Okay, and then that gets us through our next set of 4. So here those are really slow. And then to start our next phrase, we slide on the B string up to the 17th fret and bend it a whole step, and then hit the 14th fret on the high string. And we do that a total of 4 times, so slide, and then 3 more times. And then we get into this, we can view it as a 2-beat repeating thing. Okay, so we're gonna go 17 to 14 pull off on the high string, 17 on the B string, up to 14 on the high string, and then 17 to 14 pull off again, 19 to 14 pull off. So there's our 2 beats, and that repeats 3 times. And we start on the beat 3 to begin with. 3E and a, 4E and a, 1E and a, 2E and a, 3E and a, 4E and a. And then we only play the first beat and a half, 1E and a, 2E. And then we finish this off. Okay, so we finish this off by coming down to the B string, pull off 17 to 14, down to the G string 16, back up to the B string 14, 17 to 14 pull off, down to the G string 16, and then hit the 14th fret 3 times. And then we're going to do an oblique bend. Okay, so we put your pinky on the 17th fret of the B string and your 3rd finger on the 16th fret of the G string, and bend just the G string. Bend it 3 times, shake it a little bit, and slide up so that we're in position. Our 3rd finger will bend the 22nd fret to begin our next phrase. So nice and slow, that whole phrase is going to look like this. And now we're up in the 19th position where our 3rd finger is going to bend the 22nd fret. And we bend that twice. And then we do 22 to 19 pull off, down to 22 on the B string, back up to 19 on the high string. So we have that. And now we get into this little sequence down the pentatonic scale. And it's this. And then we take that down. Okay, so what that is we go 22 to 19 on the high string, 22 to 19 on the B string, and 21 on the G string, back up to 19 on the B string. Okay, that's our pattern. And the very first time that we do this pattern here on this set of strings, you just want to bend that 19th fret when you get to it on the G string. Okay, and the next times we do this pattern, you don't have to worry about bending. So down the next string set, we go 22 to 19 on the B string, 21 to 19 on the G string, 21 on the D string, back up to the G string set 19. Okay, and then we take this pattern down one more time. 21 to 19 on the G string, 21 to 19 D string, A string 21, D string 19. Okay, so there's our 3 times. Okay, now we do 21 to 19 on the D string, 21 to 19 on the A string, slide down to 17, pick it again with another pull off from 19 to 17, down to 19 on the low string, up to 17 on the A string, slide into 21 on the A string, up to the D string, 19 and 21, and then we do a little string hop here. And bend the 21st fret on the G string 3 times, but it's preceded with a little grace note hammer. There's definitely a little inflection at the beginning of that. So what I do is I hit the 19th fret first, and then quickly hammer to the 21st fret. And then I bend it. And then release it, okay? So there's our next set of 4, and nice and slow, it's gonna sound like this. Our next phrase of 4 measures, he starts off with some fast pull-offs here. So we're fretting the 17th fret on the high string with our pinky, and we're gonna pull off to 14 and 12. Okay, and it's 6 notes a beat, so it's really fast. And it starts on the upbeat of beat 4, so it's like and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. And then on that last end of 4, we go down and do it on the B string. And 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. Okay? Now I'm gonna buck the trend on the rest of this lick here. I know that people have different ways of playing this. Some people say that it's like a repeated tapping thing going on, and other people think, you know, it's some sort of a repeating lick like that. But I listen to it a lot, and I slow these things down to half speed too, and I couldn't hear all that sort of a phrase being played, and I definitely couldn't hear this repeated tapping thing. So what I heard was this. When you slow it down, you hear this. So you really only hear the 4 notes, which leads me to believe he's kind of implicitly pulling off to an open string. So if you speed that up, it sounds more like the album. And that wah is so heavy as well. If you kick the wah on, it sounds like the album. Now that is much more in tune with his style. This other sort of a lick, it's not so much his style, and it's complicated to play. To put that into the middle of a solo, you know, back in the days of analog when you hit red, and it's going to be a pain to punch in and try to re-record. I don't think he would have done that. That doesn't really suit his style, and there's nowhere on the album that he really plays like that. So at this point in time, we've covered the whole album. I don't think we're going to be reinventing the wheel with his licks here. So this is, to me, this is what he's playing, and it's as close as I could get it to sound like the album. So what we're doing is pulling off from 17 to 14 and open, and then coming down to the B string 17 and back up to an open string on the high. And then we're just repeating that. So it's 5 notes a beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we do that for 6 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And then on beat 3 it changes. We stay in closed position, no more open strings. So we go from 17 to 14, pull off, down to 17 on the B string, back up to 14 on the high string, and then 17 to 14, pull off on both the high strings. Okay, now bend the 16th fret up on the G string, 14 on B, 17 on B, and then bend that 17th 3 times. Okay, so there's our next set of 4, nice and slow, sounds like this. We start our next phrase with a double stop bend on the 9th fret. So put your 3rd finger on the 9th fret of the G string, pinky on the 9th fret of the B string, bend those up. And then we want to go to the 7th fret on the G string, down to the 9th fret of the D string. Okay, now we come up to the G string, 7, and bend 9. And we just do a quick little repeating lick here. All right, another one of those that we've already encountered. So bend that 9th fret, up to the B string, 7, 10 to 7 pull off, come back down to 9 on the G string, back up to B, 7, 10, 7 pull off, and now 2 9 7 pull offs on the G string, down to the D string 9, up to the 7th fret G. Okay? Now, as he's holding that 7th fret, he slides up to get into position to do our next lick. But that slide lasts a little too long. He's a little just behind the beat when he starts this. So in my tab, I made a correction to what I think he was going for. So we don't have to worry about slightly lagging behind the beat here, because I'm pretty sure this is, you know, what he was intending. So we bar the 14th fret on the top 2 strings, and then we hit the B string and the E string, and come back down to the B string, pull off from 17 to 14. Go up to the high string and do a quick hammer pull from 14 to 17. And then 17 to 14 on the B string again. Bend 16 on the G string. Up to 14 on the B string. 17 to 14 on the B string. And then we want to go 16 on the G string. Hit 14 3 times. And then we bend 16 3 times. And then hit it one more time. And release down to 14. Okay, now that set of 4 measures is going to sound like this slow. Now our next phrase, we start by bending the 22nd fret again And this phrase is very similar to the last time that we were here bending the 22nd fret. So what we're going to do is bend that 22nd fret on beats 1 and 3 again. And now do our 22 to 19 pull off. And hit that 19th fret 2 more times. And now we want to pull off from 22 to 19 again. Down to 22 to 19 on the B string. Bend 21 on the G string. Back up to 19 on the G string, or B string, sorry. 22 to 19 pull off on the B string. 21 to 19 pull off on the G string. Hit that 19th fret 2 more times. 21 to 19 pull off G string. 21, 19 pull off D string. Go down to the A string, 21. Back up to the D string, 19. 21 to 19 pull off. Come down to the A string, 21, 19. Come down to the 17th fret and hit it twice. And then pull off between 19 and 17. Hit 19 on the low string, back up to the A string, 17. Then slide from 19 to 21. Come up to the D string, 19 to 21. And now G string, hit the 19th fret twice. Pull off 21 to 19. 19th fret 2 more times. And then 21 to 19 2 times. Come down to the D string, 21. Back up to the 19th fret on the G string. And now you can hear that. He bends it really quick, a whole step. Okay, and then we're going to get into our next phrase. So this whole phrase, nice and slow, sounds like this. Now our next phrase is one of the easier ones and definitely easy to understand. All that we're doing is taking a pattern up and moving it up chromatically all the way to the 22nd fret again. So what we're doing is just a 4-note pattern. Start by going 10 to 7 on the high string, pull off, down to the B string 9, back up to the high string 7. So that's the 4-note cell. And then we just slide it up 1 fret at a time. So we do that for 3 whole measures, and then that just ends with the 22nd fret bending 3 times. So nice and slow, that's going to sound like this. Next phrase is kind of a pedal pointy pull off thing again. So we're going to use the 17th fret on the B string as our pedal. And we hit that twice. And then we go 20 to 17 pull off. And 19 to 17. And then we hit that 17th fret 2 more times. And then we go all the way up to the 22nd fret pull off to the 19th. And back to 20 pull off. And then we go down to the 19th fret on the G string. And then come up to the 17th fret and hit it 3 more times. Okay? That gets us through our first measure. And now the next 2 measures are the same. He repeats himself here. So we go back up to the 22nd fret and pull off. 20th pull off. 19 pull off. Come down to the 19th on the G string. Back up to the 17. Okay, the next time we go 22 pull off. 20 pull off. 19 pull off. And then 17th fret twice more. So that's our next measure. And then we repeat that again for the next measure. And then we end with the 20th fret on the high string, bending it twice. So what we're doing is you bend it a whole step the first time, and then the second time is just bent just a little bit, just for a little inflection on it. So nice and slow, those 4 measures sound like this. So we have a little bit longer of a phrase to finish the solo off. If you remember, the rhythm guitar is repetitively going down that blues scale run. So the guitar has a longer lead line just to finish this solo off. It's a slightly longer phrase. But we'll take it slow and then I'll play it all slow for you again at the end. We start at the 17th position again, 20 to 17 pull off on the high string, and then repeat that 17th fret twice, and then repeat 20 to 17 pull off. So we have, and then we just pull that down to the B string and play it again. Okay, and so it's just more 20 to 17 pull off. So same thing twice. Then we come down to the G string, 19 to 17 pull off, 19 on the D string. Roll your finger up to the G string, 19 to 17 pull off. And then repeat that 17th fret. And then do a quick hammer pull between 17 to 19 there. Come down to the D string, 19 to 17. 19 on the A string. Back up to 17 on the D string. 19 to 17 pull off on the D string. 19 to 17 on the A string. Sliding down to the 15th fret. And then hit the 17th fret on that low string twice. Okay, and then if you look at the tab, I've included the picking on these measures because it's a little more complicated, I guess, than some of the picking. It's not quite as straight ahead. If you're not quite used to playing this style, you might struggle with understanding the pick stroke. So follow the strokes that I've recommended and it'll be a lot smoother for you. So quickly, those two measures will be like this. Now we get out of that into our next little run by going 15 to 17 hammer on the low string, 15 to 17 on the A string, and then sliding up into the 19th fret. And then we want to go 17, double pick that on the D string, 19 to 17 pull off on that D string, get back down to the A string, 19, and we're just blasting our way up the pentatonic pattern here, 17 to 19 on the D string, 17 and 19 on the G string, 17 on the B string, so that measure. Okay, now getting into our next measure, we go 20 to 17 pull off, come down to the G string 19, back up to the B string 17, and 20 to 17 pull off, up to the high string 20 to 17 pull off, back to the B string 20 to 17 pull off, repeat that 17th fret, now 20 to 17th pull off again, down to the G string 19, back up to 17. Okay, so we've got a lot of that repeating sort of pentatonic pull-off stuff like that he likes to do so much. It kind of, you know, all that sort of stuff is just mashed into this lick here, and it's just an extended run of doing this sort of thing. So that measure nice and slow is this. Okay, and the next measure is kind of more of the same here. We're going to go 20 to 17 pull off, 19 to 17 pull off on the G string. Repeat that 17th fret now twice. Repeat 19 to 17 pull off. Down to the D string 19. Back up to 17 on the G string. Pull off again between 19 to 17. Then we want to bend 19 as we come up to the B string 17. 20 to 17 pull off. Back up to the high string 20 to 17 pull off. Back to the B string 20 to 17 pull off. Repeat that 17th fret twice. 20 to 17 pull off. Down to the G string. 19 to 17 pull off, repeat that 17th fret twice, and then 19 to 17 pull off, repeat that 17th fret twice. Okay, and then we end this with another oblique bend, pinky on 20 on the B string, third finger on 19 on the G string, and bend, and we're going to do that 9 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, and start slowing down. Let that ring out, and then we're going to do 2 more quick hits. And just cut that last one super short to coincide with what the rest of the band is doing to end that track. And there's the solo. So our final phrase, that's a little bit longer than the others, sounds like this really slow. I hope that this Metallica guitar lesson really helped you learn how to play Hit the Lights. Remember that all of my song tutorials come with complete and accurate tabs to every section. So check out a few more of your favorite songs before you leave. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, let me know what else you want to see, and I'll see you next time.